Hi everyone, my name is Avery Brenna Crumrine, the author of Intention into Action, and welcome back to The Follow Through. Today I want to talk about something that I feel like I've been realizing a lot more lately, because a lot of the things that are happening in my life right now, I never planned out specifically. I didn't sit down a few years ago and map out speaking and writing a book and podcasting, fundraising, and meeting all of these different people. It was honestly just one thing kept leading to the next the second I started saying yes to opportunities. And I think it's so important to recognize because a lot of people are waiting until they have a perfect plan before they start doing anything. But most opportunities in life don't show up looking life-changing in the moment. Usually they look really small or random and uncomfortable and easy to say no to. And I think that people underestimate how much one decision can completely change the direction of your life. For me, I think a lot of it honestly started in college. I mean, I had started a business when I was younger, but for the path that I'm on right now and the things that have kind of been just happening back to back to back, it really started after I joined Women in Business the first year of college. Through Women in Business, I ended up learning about Dance Marathon, which is a student-led philanthropy raising money for the Children's Miracle Network. And it was so cool to me how they gave the specifics for each amount raised compared to what it actually went to. And so that was so cool for me to see students raising this large amount of money and then seeing the tangible item that it associated with. And so I decided to join and raise money for it as well. And my mom and I ended up making an idea to do an auction. My mom was already an auctioneer, and then we had this idea where entrepreneurs would offer their services or different experiences, and then they would get a percentage and the charity would get a percentage of the money. And so we ended up doing a Zoom, which ended up being 2 hours, and I ended up having to speak during it. And we ended up raising $22,000. So a large percentage of that ended up going to Dance Marathon. And that ended up leading to more speaking. And that's when I ended up speaking at the $1 Billion Impact as an interview. And then that led to another one, which then I was asked to speak at another event. And I kind of went back to back to back at different speaking events. And then speaking ended up helping me realize that I had something I wanted to say to people. And then that led to me writing my book. And then writing my book ended up leading to me podcasting. And podcasting led to these amazing conversations. And everything really led to all these opportunities and meeting people that I never would have met otherwise. And if I'm looking back on all of it right now, none of it happened because I had this giant master plan for all of it. It just happened because I kept saying yes before I fully knew where things would lead. And I think people assume that successful people always knew exactly where they were going, but I think a lot of people discover their path while moving, not while just sitting still, because most people want guarantees before they start. And it makes sense because they want to know exactly how it's going to work and where it'll lead and exactly who they'll become. But life doesn't really work like that. You figure things out while you're doing them, not before. And I feel like something shifted for me the second I stopped asking what was the perfect path that I needed to go on and started thinking about what opportunity is in front of me right now. Because when you start saying yes to things, you start meeting different people and learning different skills. And you end up becoming this different version of yourself, and naturally different opportunities start appearing. That's the crazy part. The opportunities that you want later usually come from the opportunities you say yes to now, even when they seem small. And I wanted to say this too because I feel like a lot of people hear conversations like this and they assume everything suddenly becomes easy. It honestly doesn't. There were still moments that I felt nervous and unqualified and very unsure of myself. Even speaking for the first time, I didn't feel like a speaker. I honestly still don't feel like a speaker. And even in writing my book, I didn't feel like an author. Even in starting this podcast, I had no idea what I was doing, and I honestly still don't. But I feel like that confidence grows through movement and not before it. And if I had waited until I felt fully ready for every opportunity, none of this would exist. A lot of people see someone successful and they just assume that it happened from one opportunity. And of course, there's going to be exceptions to this, but it usually is just one opportunity that led to another, and then another, and then it led to another opportunity. And eventually those small decisions compound into a completely different life. So if there's something in front of you right now, an opportunity, an idea, a conversation, or a chance to put yourself out there, Stop thinking that you need to know exactly where it's going first, because some of the best things in your life will probably start as something small you almost said no to. And I think that's what I'm realizing the most right now. One thing kept leading to the next the second I started saying yes to opportunities. And maybe that's how a lot of life works. Not through having everything figured out, but through continuing to move. Because at the end of the day, intention doesn't change anything. Putting it into action does.